Well, it's the end of yet another week, and here on this channel that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of this series we do call Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's been going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week has definitely been an eventful one, and there's a lot to discuss as a result, so here we are. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on my channel either the day of or the day before the video comes out, similar to the one that you see on your screen now. So if you want to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out about 67% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing comes to us from Pablo, and he says that Marcus Smart is a better player than Kemba Walker is right now. Thinking about how a take like this would get laughed at less than a year ago is pretty crazy, because now it's honestly a discussion worth having based on how the Celtics have started this year. Recently, the Celtics have been struggling mightily, as they currently have a losing record, and a lot of their recent struggles have come while Marcus Smart has been out due to injury. Simultaneously, Kemba Walker has not looked like his former All-Star self at all this season, seeing a dip in his typical scoring average, his efficiency has been pretty bad, shooting 38% from the field, and all in all, he's just not looked the same. The Celtics brought Kemba in to be a reliable All-Star caliber scoring guard and a strong go-to guy on offense, but ever since his injury, he just hasn't looked right, and it is within reason to question this take. He's shot them out of a few games, his defense has not been that good, and when he's not scoring, he struggles to make a positive impact elsewhere. Meanwhile, Marcus Smart is the kind of player that makes his impact felt all over the place, doing a little bit of everything and acting as the engine that makes the Celtics go. His impact goes far beyond the box score. Now, with all of this being said though, I don't think we can definitively write off Kemba yet, and he definitely could continue to improve as he works his way back to full strength. I think maybe a better take would be that Marcus Smart is more important to the Celtics rather than just calling him the outright better player, because that I guess I could agree with. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Jason, and he says that Luka Doncic has peaked, and it's all downhill from here. Right off the bat, let me just say that this is ridiculous, but I guess the cause of this take coming about is Luka's production taking a slight dip from a year ago, and the Mavericks just haven't been very good for the most part this year, currently having a losing record and being outside of the playoff spots looking in. However, as I said before, there isn't a chance in hell that Luka has peaked already. This is a guy who at 21 years old is literally just getting started, and he's already putting up production at a level we haven't really ever seen from a 21-year-old in the history of the league. Is he going to have some growing pains along the way? Of course he is. He's 21 years old, for crying out loud. He's by no means a finished product, which is frightening for the rest of the league if he's still putting up about 29 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds per game while having plenty of room to grow. He's burst onto the scene so quickly as an elite player that he's already being held to the same standard the other superstars in the league are held to, which is great, but you have to keep in perspective that he's far younger than the other players at the top and still has a very long career ahead of him. Barring any serious injuries, Luka isn't going anywhere, and he certainly isn't going downhill from here moving forward. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Jericho, and he says that LeBron isn't even a top 5 MVP candidate in the race right now, with Embiid, Durant, Curry, Lillard, Jokic, and a few others, all being ahead of him in the running this year. I know that there are a lot of LeBron fans out there, and I also realize how much him winning MVP would mean to everybody, especially at 36 years old, with the fact that he's still playing at an elite level at this point point in his career, and even the media have done their best to push the narrative in LeBron's favor. But in all honesty, I kind of agree with this take at hand, and don't think he has the MVP case a lot of people make it seem like he has. I also want to say that this isn't even a slight towards LeBron, and when I say all of this, it's not me saying these players are better than him, but strictly speaking about the MVP race for this regular season, there are a lot of other players with better production, more impact, and better overall cases for the award, seeing as it is a regular season award that takes nothing else besides what is happening during this regular season into consideration. The Lakers have been struggling lately without Anthony Davis, and players like Joel Embiid and James Harden are producing at an elite level for top teams. Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, and Damian Lillard are doing more with worse supporting casts, and so on and so forth. Again, LeBron is still having a terrific season, but if he wasn't who he is, I don't think anybody would be pushing this hard for him to win the MVP. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Z, and he says that if Shaq was playing in the modern NBA, he would only be about as good as Andre Drummond, and this is one of the most disrespectful takes I've seen in this series. Listen, I understand that everybody is growing tired of Shaq's shtick that he does on the TNT halftime and post-game shows, where he just seems to incessantly hate on players in this new generation without any real reason for doing so, and trust me, I'm tired of it too. But that doesn't mean that we have to go rewriting history and ignoring how damn good he was in his playing days. Shaq was literally the most unstoppable force in the paint the league has ever seen. He's an MVP winner, he's a 4-time champion, 3-time finals MVP, a 2-time scoring champion, and just an all-around beast. He would still be as good now as he was back then, especially the version of him in his early playing days where he was actually in really good shape and ran the floor hard to combine with his unstoppable strength around the basket, and nobody would be able to stop him from doing so now. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing comes to us from Brock, and he says that Kristaps Porzingis will never be as good as he was on the Knicks for the rest of his career. Porzingis is another player who, due to a variety of injuries, hasn't been able to return to the level of play of his former self that resulted in him receiving the level of hype that he had. In New York, he was truly a unicorn capable of easily knocking down threes, scoring over defenders in the post and in the mid-range, and actually playing very good defense, protecting the rim and defending in space. With the Mavericks, though, it has not been great. Sure, his per-game averages look good on paper, averaging about 20 points and 8 rebounds per game, but just from watching the team play with him out there, they struggle mightily, especially on defense, and the numbers back that up. With Porzingis on the court, the Mavericks get outscored by about 7 points per 100 possessions, and with him off the court, they outscore their opponents by about a point in that same span. They're 8 points better without him, and his worrisome defense has been at the heart of a lot of it. He doesn't look comfortable moving on defense, he gets beat a ton, and people within the Mavs organization have reportedly been shopping him on the trade market because of these worries. I usually like to give players more time after injuries before making bold claims like this, but it definitely is something to monitor and a cause for concern in the short term. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the topics discussed today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.